What exactly is meant by style, tone, and mood in writing? Think of your favorite book. What is the author's style of writing? Do you own other books written by this author, and can you tell his or her style? Do you know the tone of your author's writing because they write in that genre all the time? Well, what exactly are style, tone, and mood, and how do they differ?
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast.
Hello, and welcome back to a Writer's Day podcast, where we explore the art and craft of writing and storytelling, and where I also interview best-selling, award-winning authors. And I'm excited for this year's authors that I'm going to be talking to. But for today, we're taking a break from interviews, and I'm going to be talking about one of the most important yet sometimes overlooked aspects of writing: style, tone, and mood. We're going to talk about what they are and how they differ, and how you can master them to create compelling stories that resonate with readers. When I was a writing teacher, I used to often teach voice and word choice, style, tone, and mood of writing. And I would have my students analyze their favorite books. And so we're going to be doing that a little bit today. So welcome. And if you like what you hear, please consider subscribing and following me on Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts, and leave me a 5-star review. I'd love to know what you think of my podcast. And be sure and head over to my website at artbyruth.com to learn more about my upcoming book projects, like The Secrets of Worthington Orphanage, a spooky ghost story prequel to my children's series. If you've read The Children Under the Ice, The Children in the Garden, and The Children of Manor House, you will know about Worthington Orphanage. Well, The Secrets of Worthington Orphanage explains what happened and why. And if you love old-fashioned ghost stories, you will love this haunting tale. So head over to my website, sign up for my newsletter, and you'll learn more about my upcoming projects, which also include Book 2 in my Desert Shadows suspense series, Book 3 in my Italian series, this next adventure for Millie and Edith and Joy, who you followed in Doors of Rome and The Windows of Venice. And you'll be the first to know about book cover reveals and title reveals too. So sign up at artbyruth.com today for my newsletter, and you can also enter to win a free book. I give away free books every month. So sign up today. Okay, let's jump into style, tone, and mood. And what are they and how do they differ? Whether you're writing fiction, nonfiction, poetry, or essays, understanding these 3 elements of writing will transform the way you approach your craft. So grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, sit back and relax as we get started on learning more about style, tone, and mood. Well, first, let's define them. What does it mean to have a style or tone or mood in your writing? Because they're often used interchangeably, they need to be defined because they are very different. Style in writing is the unique way a writer uses language. It's your voice, your signature. So think about your favorite book, your favorite author. Stephen King has his own style. Francine Rivers has her own style. J.K. Rowling, J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, all these authors have their own way of writing. So should you. Style encompasses things like word choice, sentence structure, pacing, and even the use of literary devices. So if you're used to writing in short, choppy sentences because you write a thriller genre, quick, fast story, you want to keep your readers on the edge of their seats, that's your style. If you like to use a bit of narration or even breaking the fourth wall from time to time, I have a friend who writes like that. That's her style. So she'll sometimes address you, the reader, as you're reading her book. And we can tell, Agatha Christie had her style very different than Stephen King's style of writing suspense mysteries and thrillers. What makes a cozy mystery different than an ultra fast suspense thriller? Yeah, the writer's style, their voice, their signature, the word choice, the sentence structure, and the pacing. For example, in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, he used a rich, descriptive style filled with elegant prose and intricate world building. And contrast that with someone like Ernest Hemingway. He was known for his sparse, economical style. Both writers are compelling, but their styles are radically different. Tone. Tone is the writer's attitude toward the subject or the audience. It's conveyed through word choice, phrasing, and even punctuation. Tone can be serious or humorous, sarcastic, formal, or casual. It's all about how you speak to your reader. So in my book, The Doors of Rome, I had a lighter tone because it was considered adventure fiction, women's adventure fiction. So I added some humorous moments, some sarcasm, and then every once in a while, a little bit of a formal tone. So it was my attitude toward the subject that I was writing about. In the book, The Bad Seed by William March, his tone in that novel is dark, foreboding, which perfectly complements its sinister subject matter. And I think Stephen King is like that as well. Mood. Mood, on the other hand, is the feeling or atmosphere that the writing evokes in you, the reader. So tone is the author's attitude. Mood is the emotion that is in you, the reader. It's the emotional landscape you create for your audience. Going back to The Hobbit, the mood in The Hobbit shifts depending on the scene. When Bilbo is at home in the Shire, the mood is cozy and quaint. But when he's in Smaug's lair, the mood becomes tense and ominous. It's the same thing with J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. When he's at home with his mean, wicked aunt and uncle, the mood is tense. But when he's at the castle of Hogwarts, it's a little bit different, isn't it? It's more magical and mysterious, quaint at times, and even cozy. So mood is all about how you want your reader to feel in a particular moment. So if you have a character in a suspense story that's racing through the forest at night and being chased by a serial killer, you probably won't use too much humor or sarcasm. You'll probably want to stay with that tension and that ominous mood for your readers. Next, let's look at how style, tone, and mood work together. Okay, so now that we've defined these terms, let's explore how they work together to shape a story. So imagine you're writing a suspenseful mystery. Your style might be sharp and detail-oriented, focusing on every clue the detective encounters. Your tone, which is your attitude, right, could be somber, reflecting the gravity of the crimes. And the mood you create for your readers, well, that might be one of unease or paranoia, keeping them on the edge as they turn the page, wondering, is this character the killer? No, it must be that character, right? So in The Bad Seed, March uses a formal, almost clinical style to describe the events, which amplifies the unsettling tone of the whole story. This in turn creates a mood of dread and suspense for the reader. Three elements that work together seamlessly. Another example in The Hobbit, Tolkien's style, with its flowing descriptions and lyrical language, sets a tone that's often lighthearted and whimsical, especially in the beginning. But when the story becomes darker, like in the confrontation with Smaug, the mood shifts to suspenseful and dangerous. So the key takeaway, each element serves a distinct purpose, but together they create a cohesive experience for the reader. Now, think about your story. Are you doing this well? Do you have the sense of how you're going to do your style, tone, and mood according to the genre that you're writing? If you're writing a romantic suspense, you might have some areas where the tone is a little different than when you're writing from the point of view of the villain. If you want to have some humor between the two main characters, their love interest starts to bloom and blossom, you change your tone and the mood for the reader. But every time you go back to the suspense portion of your book, you need to return to that mood of maybe high tension and paranoia. So think about the genre you're writing. Is it fantasy adventure? Is it written for children or adults? Is it romance or suspense, mystery, thriller? You should know, so that will help you develop your style, tone, and mood as you're writing for that genre and that audience. Practical tips for you, the writer. Now let's talk about how you can apply this knowledge to your own story. Developing your style. Your style will naturally evolve over time. But one way to refine it is by reading widely and experimenting. I once had a very well-known literary agent give me that advice. He said, read a book by an author that you really admire, and even try copying or imitating your favorite author's way of creating style, tone, and mood. Try and develop your own style, but imitate them for a little while and see if it feels authentic to you. And I tried that and it worked years ago. We're talking 10 years ago. And it really did help me. I read a suspense novel by an author I admire, and I started to imitate that style of writing, short, choppy sentences to create a faster pace when I needed it. If you're not sure where to start, think about your sentence structure. Do you favor long, flowing sentences, or are you more concise? Pay attention to your natural rhythms as you write in your genre. If the killer is after a woman, you don't want her to stop and have this long, detailed, flowing conversation with someone because she's on the run. She needs to get going. So that may work better for those short, choppy sentences. And maybe have a conversation where she can slow down and you can use those long, flowing sentences when she's in a coffee shop talking with her best friend or something like that. Setting the right tone. Tone is all about word choice and how you frame your narrative. So before you start writing, ask yourself, what attitude do I want to convey? Remember, tone is your attitude, the writer's attitude about the topic you're writing about. So for example, if you're writing a holiday romance and you love holiday romances, you might want to aim for a warm, hopeful tone. If it's a thriller, you might opt for a cold, detached tone to heighten the tension. See how it works? If you don't like the holidays and you despise those holiday romances, maybe try writing a comedy where your character doesn't like holidays either and might be a little bitter about it. Or if you don't like suspense novels, maybe have a detective in your story who has that same tone, can't stand being a detective and wants to get out of it and maybe be a stand-up comedian. That would be a fun story to read. Creating an immersive mood. Now remember, mood is about the atmosphere you create for your reader. It's the emotional reaction they have to your story. Mood is about sensory details and atmosphere. To master mood, focus on your setting and how it feels to the characters. What's the weather like? What's it feel like? Sound like? What does the air smell like? If your characters are walking through the woods, they might smell crisp, clean air, the ferns, the pine scent of the trees, wildflowers growing all around them. What might they hear in the forest? Birds singing, a woodpecker, the hoot of an owl? If it's a thriller, maybe not add so many happy smells, but maybe a dark, damp, moldy, musty smell. And the weather's cold and heavy with humidity. And maybe the snow starts to fall and slows them down as they run, try and escape from the killer. And what sounds? Well, maybe bats and a wolf howling off in the distance. See how it changes the mood? That's where you come into control. You control that. You have the power to control the mood. So focus on your setting and how it feels to your characters. If it's a romantic comedy, well, yeah, you want those happy smells, the happy weather, right? But if the mood changes and your character's heart has been broken, well, maybe it starts to rain and it matches her mood. Maybe it turns bitter cold and that matches how she feels about her heart being broken. Things like that. So let's revisit The Hobbit. When Bilbo is traveling through Mirkwood Forest, Tolkien creates a suffocating mood by describing the darkness, the heavy silence around him, and the feeling of being watched. There's that paranoia, that tension. As a writer, you can use similar techniques to pull readers into your world. That's part of world building for fantasy. So experiment with perspective. Another way to influence tone and mood is by changing the point of view. For instance, a story told through the eyes of a child will have a different tone and mood than a story told by a jaded detective. The current story I'm writing that right now has both. A blind 12-year-old girl has witnessed a crime. And so the story told through her perspective will be different than the tone of the jaded detective who doesn't believe he can trust a blind girl's testimony about the murder she witnessed. It would be the same with a fantasy if I'm writing from the point of view of a prince off to slay a dragon, right? And then I switch it and I write from the point of view of the dragon who's protecting his fellow dragons from the prince and the approaching soldiers. So experiment with perspective, and that will help you learn more about tone and mood. Test your work. Share your writing with beta readers and ask for their feedback. Does your tone match the story you're telling? Maybe you're writing a romantic comedy, but your tone is a little too sarcastic or too ominous. Does the mood evoke the emotions you intended? Maybe your romantic comedy isn't evoking humor or sarcasm like you had thought. Maybe it's too formal. And so your beta readers can help you understand that. And sometimes this kind of fine tuning of these elements is a collaborative process. So comparing styles, tones, and moods. To wrap things up, let's compare the books we've mentioned today. The Hobbit. The style is lyrical and descriptive. The tone, lighthearted and adventurous. The mood, whimsical at times, but tense and foreboding at other times. The Bad Seed. The style is formal and precise. The tone, dark and unsettling. the mood dreadful and suspenseful. In my book, The Doors of Rome, the style is informal, fast-paced, and vivid. The tone, lighthearted and adventurous at times. Mood, whimsical, but yet some tension and a little bit of chaotic at times. Each of these books mentioned uses style, tone, and mood to create a distinct experience for the reader. As a writer, your challenge is to identify what works best for your story and then execute it with intention. Well, that's all for today in this episode of A Writer's Day podcast. I hope this discussion on style, tone, and mood has inspired you to dig deeper into your writing and experiment with these elements in your own work. So if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leave me a review. And also share it with your fellow writers who want to learn more about these elements. And don't forget to follow me on social media for more writing tips and resources. And as always, keep going forward on your writing journey. Always learning, always writing something every day. And until next time, God bless.